Thanks for staying with us now. Globally, the world is embracing renewable energy and investing heavily in that sector, as this doesn't only give a sustainable source of energy, it also gives a healthier planet in the process. Just today, the world's largest floating offshore wind farm begins operation in North Carolina, as Duke Energy's sustainable solution is also planning its first wind farm in Iowa. Just yesterday, India's rooftop solar capacity grew 517% year over year in New York City rather. Massive infrastructure projects have been selected to deliver clean energy, while a coal plant in New Jersey is to be repurposed as clean energy hub. As BP joins multi-billion-dollar hydrogen effort in UAE. This partnership with Abu Dhabi energy firms ADNOC and Mazda hopes to decarbonize the UK and United Arab Emirates energy and transportation systems. Now, all these are just to give us an idea where the world is heading to. And Nigeria is not left out, as Olon and INFIBRANCHES signed a $2 million investment deal to drive growth in Nigeria's renewable energy sector. So with this announcement of the federal government yesterday stating the plans to stop subsidizing power, as we had talked about in our What's in the News segment yesterday, and the apprehension over the impact of what this will mean for the already lean pockets that we have in Nigeria, how can we harness renewable energy, the renewable energy sector, as we solve our power challenges, is our question tonight. Now, let us hear what you have to. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Even though I read physics, all these terminologies are just jumping left and right. Oh, yes, I did. All right, so.
Like physics in...
Physics. That's what I studied in
university.
School. Yes.
That was your first degree?
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know why that is very funny.
It's market woman that has covered my brain.
Wow.
So I studied. Okay. I actually studied physics. I love sciences, but I wanted to ask.
Why not talk? Why? Let's continue.
So me that I did physics, that I'm selling cloth and coffee.
But you see, when we start the conversation, our market has not covered your brain. You are telling us wind, everything. This one.
I've chopped everything.
I'm telling you.
I've packed it into 2 months.
I'm telling you. But that's by the way. But I mean, what do you think? How can we harness? Because I know that we are blessed with. I remember one of my projects that I did in school when I was presenting in my final years. When I was presenting my seminar, was on biogas. I was so excited when I heard about it, when I read about it. As at then, I think India was already bottling some of those gases to use as home, cooking gas. And what came to my mind?
Olusola dump site.
Dump site.
They've been extracting methane there for a while, though.
But how? Why are we not?
Waste energy technology.
So why are we? Because when it comes to renewable energy, Nigeria should be one of the largest markets, because we already have everything that it takes for us to get us to that place where we are actually moving towards clean energy. So why are we not seeing that?
We don't have everything. We have enough.
Well, we have enough.
Waste to energy is something that has been harnessed for a long time now. I remember my days in civil service, and I was in the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. And I know that we're actively driving waste to power, considering the level of waste that we generate. In fact, a lot of proposals came to us then that we're discussing and evaluating, how do we convert waste to power? How can we harness the fact that, sometimes when you see Olusola catch fire, they do not deliberately light that fire.
No, it is methane that is there.
Exactly.
Yes, no.
So you understand that they are waiting to be harnessed. But there's always a lot. There's a bit of, I remember there was a particular company that was converting waste to pellets. They were using it for books. There was a lot going on, but a lot of it doesn't make news. Why? They do not probably see it to a conclusive solution. Okay. When it doesn't get to a point where it becomes newsworthy.
And it's also because not done in a massive scale.
Yes, it gets started and it doesn't go that far because of funding.
Sustainability and also changing government.
Because yes, that is another thing. I remember the then GM was very, very aggressive towards waste to energy. But then once the government changes, the GM changes,
everything changes,
and everything takes a downward spiral.
Well, let me hear your initial thought, Elsie. Then I'm bringing our guest.
Yeah, I don't have initial thoughts.
You don't
have? I mean, it is clear to know that this is not my area or my field, but at least I understand that renewable energy is a very important alternative to the issues we have in terms of power.
Yeah.
I know it is not as cheap as we would hope for it to be. And we're also getting to that point where the regular power we understand is also not going to be cheap. So what are the alternatives? That's what I would like to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so Olusola Owoyemi is the Chief Executive Officer of INFIBRANCHES, a technology and clean energy advocate, and who leads strategy, partnership, fundraising, and expansion at INFIBRANCHES. He is very, very passionate about innovations and product design, as he was responsible for growth, execution, and partnerships across Africa at Swiffer System. With over 10 years experience in management, consulting for digital products, business process, reengineering, market, growth strategy, energy, and financial services, he has led various strategic and transformational projects in the financial service industry and other sectors, driving initiatives around strategy, product development, marketing, and brand repositioning. And he's joining live with us in the studio. Thank you so much for coming. The CEO of INFIBRANCHES, the people that just collected $2 million.
We need to start from
no, before we even go there. Okay, so we are just talking from our, pop of Milola that has practiced renewable energy, but I'd like to have an idea what the landscape of the renewable energy sector in Nigeria is looking like first. Let's even understand what it's looking like and how viable this particular business is. Because for somebody to give you $2 million, it means there's money in the sector.
Absolutely.
Maybe before getting to the sector, just break it down for those who don't understand what renewable energy is and how it affects them. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thanks. So, I'll start from the second question. So, renewable energy in itself is more of an alternative source to what we currently have. So, if you look at as of today, over 80 million Nigerians are still off grid. So, and definitely you can't get everybody on grid with the current capacity we have. So, we generate about 5,000 megawatts, and the daily demand is about 17,200 megawatts. So, in the case of the
entire country or from Lagos?
That's for the entire country, yes. So that's like a daily demand. So that's assuming that we have everybody on grid. So and looking at what we have at the moment, so definitely that gap is already there. So and definitely for us to actually achieve the energy targets or electrification targets for Nigeria simply means we need to start looking at alternative sources. Yeah. So and what comes to mind is what other options do we have? So and that's where renewable energy comes into play. So and so it's very important for us to start looking at that angle, because we can't get everybody on grid, because cost of even setting up the grids, it's in itself is very expensive. And if you look at some of these rural areas, looking at their population size, you can't put like 100 kilowatts in a place where their maximum demand or what they need is just 20 kilowatts. So it's going to be a waste of effort. So you have to start thinking of better options of how you can do this.
The solutions that is tailored to the specific need of that region.
Yes. So and the beauty of renewable energy is, apart from the fact that it's clean energy, so there's also a way you can modularize it. So I don't have to. I can have different small packages that can serve individuals, that can serve areas. So and that's the point where we now talk about the existing products that are already available in the solar space, where we have pico products that are lanterns, very small, that can actually serve people that just need basic light. So they now take that from that level to people that need probably something to power their TVs, something to power more heavy equipment and all of that. So that's like one of the big equipments. Then we now take it to mini grids, where you can set up grids that can power probably an entire community based on the specification of the regulators and all of that. So those are some of the things that's currently happening in that space.
So that's what the landscape of the renewable energy sector is looking like currently.
Yes. So it's there's still a lot of gaps that needs to be filled. So and there's still a lot of new entries that need to come into the sector, and that's one of the things where we're coming in as INFIBRANCHES. We cannot solve all the problems. So because as of today, one of the key problems for that sector is payment and distribution. So I bring in a product, or I'm a solar home system provider, and I need to actually distribute my products across the country. How do I do that? So then looking at the cost of this renewable energy, because there's a lot of importation coming. We don't have stable in Nigeria. We don't have all of these things in Nigeria. So bulk of the available resources we have right now is actually more of imports. So by the time you do all of this, bring all of this to Nigeria, how do you distribute? How do you collect payments when you're selling? So, and those are some of the things we are coming in as INFIBRANCHES to use technology to solve. So, if I want to pay for a product that's say 100,000, I can make, we're trying to lower the barrier such that I can pay an initial deposit, and over a period of time, you can start making subsequent payments. But for these renewable energy companies, how do they collect their money? They are not a financial institution. And if they have an office in Lagos, does that mean they have to set up offices across the 36 states or the 770 local governments to actually get payment collection? So that's where the financial sector needs to now start playing a lot of role, where we have to look at agents in different locations that can solve some of these problems, collect payments on their behalf, and also help with distribution of the products. So, yeah.
You want to come in?
Yeah, well, there's a bit of an angle that I have to it, and renewable energy is considered an alternative energy. So is generator is an alternative energy. So is gas, right? But where I see the challenges is we look at solutions. Renewable energy is scalable, just like he said, and it's modular. You can always start with a minimal size. If you go and talk to somebody, okay, I want basic load, they'll come and do an energy audit of your facility. What are the things you need? And they can recommend basic load for you. And if you, with time, develop the capacity to expand, you can always stack more batteries. You had the series or the parallel connection, depending on whoever is doing your design for you. And you can scale it up like that. But we have always considered this as a solution to this country, which is good, but it's not the best. We're supposed to have a bigger system and then gradually scale it down. But here we always look at small pocket-sized solutions. And that is why the uptake of the renewable energy in this country is still very, very minimal, if not zero. Because we can look at, he has made a good point. Now, every consumer of power either generates their own power using generator, right? Or they connect to the grid. If any solution provider comes to market you, it's either they're going to sell you a solution just like your little inverter system that we have in the house. If they feed the power, for example, they do a big solar farm, for example, and feed it into the grid. There's always an issue around collection, and I think that's where he's talking about his technology. It's a very large pot we're looking at, but renewable energy could have taken more upscale, looking at solar technology particularly, not just the entire renewable energy. Because when you look at wind power, that's renewable energy. When we look at wind turbines, those are with renewable energy. But for this country, or for this situation now, the only one that is accessible and easy to deploy is solar technology.
Okay, but taking it off that, right? You know, you said something about payments and distribution, and she has mentioned it now. And even in the regular one that we know for the grid and all that, that is still one of the major issues they are facing in terms of payment and distribution. So what is it with...
Let me address that.
Okay.
A private company is not allowed to sell power to off-takers of GENCOs, the distribution companies. Like in Lagos, we have two distribution companies. We have a Codisco and we have a Kedisco. Before a big company will go and say, okay, I provided power that is solar technology, I want to take these people off the grid, they have to take a consent from the owner of those customers. Because whether you realize it or not, you are under a particular distribution. And if somebody provides, except it is your own power that you produce on your own, like your mini generator or your own small inverter system, it is not, this is one of the reasons why renewable energy has not taken up the way it should. There are a lot of companies that can provide power and say, okay, let's supply solar to this entire estate, for example, and let's take them off the grid so that they're on 24 hours power. But you're going to have to deal with the federal government.
I was going to come to you to say that how much involvement is the government, you know, in some of these things that you're doing? Because when I hear you speak, you know, about lanterns and all of that, it seems like the service that you're providing or the solutions that you're bringing is geared towards the underserved and all of that. Absolutely. You know, so is there any government involvement in that? I mean, or they're not putting their eye there, you know?
No, so there's a government involvement in all of this as well, so because it's still a regulated sector as well. So like she was saying, so for the mini grid, so there's a cap to what they can do. I think about 1 megawatts. So so if you're in a location, you can generate that, so you can serve that community and provide power to the house, to those people. So, but the problem still remains that how do you collect payments? So because
my question is, we are talking, people are saying you're an alternative, and we are still hearing the same issue that we're having in the same area back in the alternative. So why is payments and distribution that problem?
So I'll take from the mini grid side. So for the payment collection, so what we're trying to solve, what we're trying to propose is how do I make this payment as easy as possible? So, you know, for this kind of communities, there are places, they are not in clusters. So they are scattered over a period because of the way that environment is structured, little infrastructure and all of that. So you have to probably move around from one house to another, take you like 5 minutes, 30 minutes trek and all of that. So what we did was to build trust within those local communities. So that someone within the community that's trusted can serve as an agent. So I will now take you back to what you said about the government. So CBN already said the pathway to financial access and energy access and poverty reduction are closely related. And the best way to deal with this is also to bring in a proper payment infrastructure that can actually more like use one stone to kill 3 birds. So, and how this is going to work is basically look at a way you can actually, because the audience you're targeting are the same. People that are financially excluded are also the same set of people that don't have access to energy, that are off-grid. So you try to marry all of that together. So definitely you have agents everywhere. You go to different locations to see agents probably doing cash out, cash in and all of that, which is similar to some of the things we also have as well. So, and these people in this location, they are providing the services to these agents. Why can't they layer renewable energy as part of what they are selling? So it's just about this profit story for them. That, okay, so if you add this to what you're selling. So
tell me, walk me through how this works, because I'm trying to understand how it will work, the model will work in the community. Can you just walk me through in 2 minutes?
Okay, so in 2 minutes, so I'm a customer, I don't have access to energy. So, and I know there's an agent close by, an INFIBRANCHES agent that does cash out, cash in, and also does renewable energy. So I just walk to that person and ask that person that probably, so the person already has some of the products. And that's where the distribution comes into play. So we already have a partnership with some of these renewable energy companies such that their locations are already available in some of those locations. For those that we cannot put in that location, we've done some level of integration such that even from the app, you can also initiate the process. So that once you initiate the process, the solar home system provider gets the notification and does the delivery. So we try to.
So when you say delivery, you're delivering products like lanterns and all of those things. That's what those are the solutions that we're selling.
It depends on what they need. Okay. Yes. So, but the initial engagement, is coming from the agent. So they're able to. So they are serving more as the sales point, sales outlets, marketing outlets for them. At the same time, doing the payment collection. And what we've done is we've automated that process end to end, such that once I make the payment through the agent processes the transaction. Instantly, the solar home system gets the value. If it's a case of I'm paying the subsequent payments and probably my light is off at home, once you make that payment, your light comes up immediately. So, and that's the beauty of what we're trying to bring into the mix.
Oh, now I understand.
Let me ask you a question about the type of solution you're deploying. I hear you explain the side of the recharge and effective collection.
Yes.
Because the whole idea why you have this technology embedded is to be able to mitigate default, right?
Yeah.
But what type of solution are you deploying? Because if I understand very clearly, it sounds like a standalone for basic lights, for charging devices. It doesn't look like a traditional inverter systems that we are conversant with, except it's a different type of technology. I want to understand what type of solution are you deploying and that is appropriate for this type of collection that you've explained. Okay,
so the type of products are focused right now are the solar home systems. Those are the devices that, in some cases they are closed, but they can power your laptop, power your TV, power your fan. So just basic equipment that can be powered using some of these devices. So you just have to connect your devices to this solar box, system. More like a box. I understand. They are one piece. Everything is all embedded. It has the inverter, it has the battery. Everything. They usually come as a one piece. Those are the type of solutions you are deploying. Yes. That is more appropriate for rural electrification.
Yes,
it's not ideal for commercial.
That's where the market is. So we are coming back from the break. Let us go and drink water. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're having an amazing chat with Olusola on harnessing renewable energy sector to tackle some of the power challenges. Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-8038-4663. Why are you so quiet?
I don't understand though.
Because. All right, so Olusola. Now, so how do we empower? Because I always like to find empowerment in some of these things without just, okay, yes, there's a solution part. Because we're serving communities, right? Yeah. If somebody is in a rural community somewhere and the person wants to become empowered financially, you know, how can they benefit from, because you got $2 million. I need to know how you want to spend that money.
This man wants $2 million. He's in business.
Let me answer the $2 million question. So basically what we're trying to do right now is, so at the moment, the level of awareness is very low. So most of these people don't even understand the benefits of coming into this sector, probably using some of these products. And what we're trying to do is use these funds to create some level of awareness. So there'll be a lot of trainings. So we're trying to basically speed up customer acquisition while also increasing the number of people that have access to this solution in different places. So one of the things we've also done is to create a single point of connection. To call it SPOI, so more like a single point of integration. So what we are doing with that is all the different solar providers that we've aggregated, we are trying to expose their services to more payment channels. So that means all the different financial institutions that you have, all the different agent networks that you have, everybody can have access to the services that these people are offering via that single connection. So we're just routing that through, like I said, we're a technology company, so we're coming more from the technology angle. So we can have access to all of the services just with one single API integration. So that at any point in time, if you had a new service provider to our service, all these payment channels also have access to that new payment provider. And if there's a new payment provider that's connected to our program as well, each solar home system provider have access to all these multiple channels. So a typical use case would be a payment channel has 5 million customers, another one has 1 million customers, another one has 3 million customers. By the time you do an aggregate of all of them, you're automatically exposing each renewable energy company to over 100 million customers.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Renewable energy is decentralized, right?
Yes.
I do not understand how this combining customer base would work, because every of the existing renewable energy company that I know serve customers independently, and they run the installation independently.
Yes.
You're not going to say because we all get power from one house in a flat, for example, a blocks of flat, and you want to deploy solar technology, you're not going to feed it into the grid.
Absolutely.
Right? So I do not know how they how they bring synergy, symbiotic relationship between these different renewables, because it's a decentralized solution. It's not something that is feed into a particular grid for it to be able to tear off from one customers and supply another customers and then link them up to be able to have a payment point.
Okay, so you know, the way it works is, like you said, it's already modularized, and each of these devices have its own ID. So it's more like you have, like the same way you have a meter number where you can use to identify each person. The same way each of those solar devices have a device ID.
Not really. I don't know what type of...
So for the people we are working with, like I said, so everything has to be automated. So, and for us to be able to do this kind of automation, so there are some basic requirements or more like key requirements for it to work. They have
to all link, to be able to link them together.
Yes, so everybody is identified. So that's one part to it. So then for the product sales, so what we're doing basically is we're generating the sales lead and also ensuring that they have access to more customers. People to get to see.
So you're talking of access to more. You had a question, right?
Question. So I wanted to ask, at what, I know you've said they are just boxes and individual solutions. So at what capacity does it start and where does it end? And also how affordable are these solutions? Because like you said, they'll be paying something. I don't know if it's monthly or as you use. So how affordable is it compared to
conventional energy?
Yes, so compared to conventional energy, so we have different sizes. So there are the small lanterns that can go for as cheap as 3,000 naira. That's like outright purchase. But those ones are just small lanterns. So, and you'll be surprised that in some very remote locations, that's just what they need, because all they need is probably something to just light up their house at night. Or probably their kids need to read at night instead of using candles and exposing them to carbon emission. So
there's no recurrent payments, just...
Yes, yeah, so just basic. So those ones are very cheap, so then but you still need to find a way to get these products to those people in those locations. Okay. So then for the ones that are a bit expensive, so there's the pay-G model, or like pay as you go. So where customers are allowed to pay small. But you have to do an initial deposit. So once you do the initial deposit, I'm based in Lagos, I'm based in Abuja, I'm based in Ogun State, and my customer is in Kaduna. how do I collect that subsequent payment after selling the initial or collecting the initial deposit from that customer? So that's why we now have to work with people within the local communities to go ahead and do all of these collections for them. So, and in that way, we lower the barrier, and you can spread this payment for over 24 months, 24 months, that's like 2 years. So some people even go as long as 8 years, as the case may be.
Okay. So I was going to ask that, spread in terms of, because, it seems like, but the interesting part is that, was it not in your village that we saw solar?
There's solar in my village. They've been deploying
solar
water pump a long time, a lot of community.
Yeah, so I want to say, the question is, how much spread are we targeting when it comes to providing these kinds of solutions? Are we looking at, okay, it's just going to be southwestern thing, or you are looking at truly providing electrification for rural communities across Nigeria?
Yeah, so our target is across Nigeria, actually. So, and even in Lagos, you have some locations where they still lack access to some of these things, and these are more like alternative sources to them. So, because like Nigerians have average Nigerians have 4 hours of light every day. So the remaining 18 hours, what do you do with, the remaining 20 hours actually? So what do you do with, how do you get power? So you still need some alternative sources. And the cost of running on fuel generator is very expensive. So basically, we have a mandate to do that across Nigeria, but with a special focus on Niger Delta.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah, so as part of our partnership with, we understand that there's about 34% of the people in that location only have access to what's it called. So the remaining 74% are still excluded in the way.
The concern that I have here is, Olusola is a businessman. They're in business, no, sincerely. And their target is the underserved community, which should be the responsibility of government. It's quite unfortunate that we have to deploy solution to people and then find the best way, because every businessman is in business for profit. They're not running charity. Maybe a part of the proceeds will go to their CSR, that's their discretion. But the larger populace in which they are targeting are rural community. I remember when we were doing, when I was in charge of Lagos Solar, I was in charge of 218 systems for 173 secondary school and 11 primary health care centers. We deployed solar technologies to the schools and the primary health centers. We took them completely off grid. There was something we did in the portal cabin that serves this community. We have devices connected so that the neighboring community can come and plug in. That is being sensitive, and the power, as expensive as those deployments were, it was absolutely free. Government needs to take responsibility for its citizen. It's sad that the people that don't have are the ones that they still have to squeeze their hand, find the best way possible to extract payment method from. They are in that community because that's the best they can find for themselves at the time. We need to be able to, maybe at some time, the subsequent conversation, it'd be nice if you can bring somebody in the energy sector or someone in the renewable energy space, either at the federal level or at the state level, to come and talk about what solution they are providing for citizens as regards these challenges of power. Because no matter what, no matter how much power we generate through the turbines and through a different platform of sun, there are still some communities that will be cut off. Government reserves the right to primarily provide power for them. Even if they now decide, we take power from the grid, right? And then, no, we are here to lend our voice.
Please help us answer.
No, it's not his call, because it's not in government.
Let him answer you.
Yeah, so the government is actually doing their part.
That is why Buhari sacked Minister of Power. It's doing something.
Yeah, so it's actually doing, so there's a commitment to power 5 million power 5 million connections in the next 3 to 4 years. So that's definitely going to impact 25 million individuals. 3 to 4 years. Yes. By this administration. Yes. Okay. so they are working. So that's already in place. So, and there's a couple of, so there's the Rural Electrification Agency that's also driving that as well. Okay. So, and for them to be able to execute all of this, so they also have to work with the private sector. Yeah. So, and that's where most of these solar home system providers come into place. Because the kind of products they are deploying to these people are the solar devices. So, and how do they distribute these solar devices? How do they get it to the last mile consumer? So those are some of the places where we now come in as well, in terms of how do you track all of this, how do you have visibility on everything that's happening in real time from a technology standpoint. So that if I'm even going to give my success metrics and say I've connected 100,000 people, I've collected 2 million people out of the 5 million, how did you arrive at that? So all of this has to be properly tracked using technology.
I was going to ask that if you were going to suggest like investment, yes, in terms of like how much more is needed in this sector. You just got $2 million. I know that the gap is much more than that, because no, really.
Yeah.
I was watching the news yesterday. I think, is it about the UK? They signed something on renewable energy yesterday. I can't remember how much it was, whether 350 million pounds or something. As in, there's an
obscene amount of money.
Was it 300 or something? It was a lot of money. It's in billions, right? It has to be in billions. They just signed that deal yesterday in just for renewable energy. These are countries that are thinking, because those ones, they are really serious about investing in renewable. So if Nigerian government was really ready and wants to invest in this sector, how much are we looking at in terms of, because it's not like we actually do have it. There was something Milola was talking. No, we have the capacity to scale, what's it called, and get ourselves off. So for instance, in a community, I would think that if I have the funds, I'll rather create a mini grid, or what do you call those things?
Yes.
And build, so anybody from the different homes will just come and plug and play. It's just like the way they are deploying fiber optics cable now. When they go to any community, they see that they have enough homes wants to pay for subscription. They will deploy their hardware.
Some of the estates to use it.
All the estates now are moving into fiber optics Wi-Fi. You understand?
Yes.
So imagine if we have something like that, that there is a big place where everybody just comes and plug and play. Then it will be easier to.
They're not going to plug and carry power to their house.
Wait,
from
now let him
now.
Yeah, so they're actually doing a lot around that. So because there's also a target of 10,000 mini grids in the next 2 years. So I think by as I last said, that was when that was stated. So the plan was to have that by 2022. So, but definitely, so it's still.
Elections.
Yeah, so definitely all of these are things that, so the vision is there. So I think it's all about getting the funds in to actually, to do it. Yeah. So there a lot of investment has to come into play for
when
this.
We talk of a lot.
So
I want to talk figures.
Does the constitution allow private sectors like what she's saying? Because I know there are estates even in this Lagos that have deployed such solutions.
Yes.
So yes, they are still on the grid, but once there is no light, they switch, right? And that's what people know already. So it's already in their cost of service charge, and they pay heavily for it, right? So do you think that would be deployed more, and would it be cheaper?
Yeah, so there will be more of that. So because as of today, we already have a lot of people doing that. So we have banks running most of their ATMs on solar as of today. So you have filling stations running the entire station on that. You have schools that are already gone solar. So I knew as of last year, OAU was already on solar. So a couple of other schools are already on solar as well. So we have a lot of people already jumping into this, and some of even your manufacturing companies, they're already running the hybrid model. So where they have the solar and the so it's a case of it's allowed. So it's just about having the willingness and the what's it called, the right partners to work with to actually execute all of this.
Okay.
Wow. Right
Let's
partners.
take comments.
Your solution, your funding is new, but I'm sure you make provision for CSR in it, corporate social responsibility, and I'll be happy to point it in direction of where you can help. Since it's rural, I have a rural community that I'm working towards. Oh, that takes it out of my hand.
Okay. Yes, now it's focused on Nigeria. Let's take comments, please.
This is from Ade. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Why can't we have 24 hours electricity in Nigeria? We supply 3. Do we still? No. Okay. So, but he's saying we supply 3 or 4 neighboring countries like Ghana, Benin Republic, 24 hours. Our governments are greedy to let this solar energy work across the country. 1. Any updates from powerhouses like, is it Egbi? What do they call it?
Igbi.
Is that what it's called? Egbi. And co. What's the role of GENCOs, PHCN contractors denying Nigeria 24 electricity power supply? All they know is to come, exploitation and all that. So
So I think they're actually doing their own part. So, but like I mentioned, so the capacity is there. So there's a lot of cost funding involved for us to actually get this to be executed. So the capacity as of today is about 12,000 a little over 12,000 megawatts. And so by the time you look at what gets to the final consumer eventually is about 3,100 megawatts. So all of that, the cost, the efficiency, and all of that has to be factored into what needs to be done. And so there's a lot of funds that need to get us to the level we're looking at. So like I mentioned, we have a daily demand of 17,200. And with the growth in population, in the next, say, 10 years, we'll be expecting probably over 77,000 megawatts daily demand. So it's a case of, so it's going to be a lot of cost to set up all of those things. So I think the government also has to, they cannot invest totally in that. So we have to look at alternative sources. And that's why renewable energy is actually the best way to drive that, so that you can modularize this and get all of these sectors, locations empowered.
Okay,
For
we're
those
running out
that
of
are
time.
not
Quickly, let's take a comment.
I have a comment from Benson, and it's a question actually. It said, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please, what major regulation can be implemented by government to detangle the limitation affecting the rapid growth of electricity generation and distribution to consumers across the country? Regulations. What regulations are being implemented?
Yeah, okay.
Do you know of any?
So I know there are a couple of policies that are actually being implemented. So it's not just about talking about the policies; it's about execution. Yeah. So all of these things are already. So they already have like a proper playbook. So it was just for us to now cater for all the different extra things around how this will be executed properly, so that it affects the lives of people that actually need this power.
Okay, so I know you said you're targeting underserved areas.
Yeah.
But if someone listening feels like they need one
Your
of your
solution.
products,
Everybody
will you
is my
respond to
customer.
them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I want to ask, how are you making your money, Biko?
You did not hear
From
that
the
you pay.
deployment.
Wait now. He's a payment solution provider.
Yes.
So commissions or what?
So basically commission. So do a revenue share with all the solar system providers. So for every successful transaction, so there's also a commission that comes to us. So it's more like the cost of processing the transaction.
Okay, because what I'm asking, she's talking about people that are interested. If I want to deploy maybe a solar system that's worth 10 million naira, and I meet some of your vendors, would you be willing to finance them? Then I'll be paying small. How does it work?
Oh, so we don't do the financing.
No. So what then happens?
So most of these solar providers already have. So those are part of the things that are also open. They get enough financing to be able to enough capital basically to be able to provide financing. So that if they have enough capital, they can actually tell you, okay, you can pay over a longer period of time, as against paying down $10 million naira at once. So all of these are things that needs to still come into the sector to actually improve. Yeah.
So where do we see INFIBRANCHES in the next 5 years? Where are we going with it?
So we are looking at more of partnerships so that we can actually get this across. So the level of awareness is low. As of today, just less than 5% of the energy potential in Nigeria in terms of penetration. So that means we still have a lot of gaps to cover. So
you truly see yourself as bringing real-time solutions to these rural communities, right?
Yeah, so we are solving, so we cannot solve all the problem. Nobody is an island of solutions, so to say. So basically, we are solving this, then we do more partnerships with other companies that can solve different bits. So by the time we do like a summation of all the different efforts, then probably we are able to push it forward.
So the solar solutions you're deploying, is it going to be focused on one brand or different brands?
No, it's actually, so we are working with all the different providers.
Okay.
All the service providers.
Yeah, service providers. Because service providers in some cases may not have coverage over the entire country. So it might be focused on probably the southwest. You have people focused in the north.
But you know something though, some people actually have relationship with these service providers. Why would I need to come through you or go through you? Because already I can just speak to my solar panel solar provider and say, you know what, I'll spread the payment. So why do I need to come to you though?
Okay, so if you spread the payment, how do you make subsequent payments?
Okay, so that's where you come in.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Thank you. I think we've had a fantastic conversation. Do you have any final words?
It's okay, I'll wrap up camera.
But thank you so much. We had a good conversation. I believe that if we truly harness the power that this renewable energy sector actually has, the potential it has, we would go far.
Absolutely.
We would go far. The world is moving. We better move with it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Elsie Godwin, Milola, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, we're planning a giveaway to say thank you to you for believing in the Ways brand and following the conversation. So do well to follow us. Now it's at Ways Show Africa. Like, share, and invite your friends and family to follow the conversation. So if you missed today's quote, here it is again. The two most abundant forms of power on Earth are solar and wind, and they are getting cheaper and cheaper by the day. Do you agree with this? Are they getting cheaper?
Well, yeah, it is, because when it started, it was much more expensive. So
there's this comment I think we should take
quickly.
So it is from Dayo, and he says solar power in Morocco is enabled by the country having one of the highest rates of solar insolation among other countries. About 3,000 hours per year of sunshine, but up to 3,600 hours in the deserts. Morocco has launched one of the world's largest solar energy projects, costing an estimated $9 billion. We are not serious in this country, my sisters.
I agree.
Okay, on that
I
note,
second it.
we see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.